and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And we are here to preview the final week of the NFL season for the Panthers. Teams are about to go to the playoffs. The Panthers are not one of those teams, unfortunately. But we are playing one of those teams in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa for our season finale. So how you feeling, Jerry? The season is pretty much over after Sunday.
I mean, honestly, the past few weeks, I'm kind of excited to kind of know where we're sitting at. I'm assuming after this game, we'll kind of be knowing what we're sitting at with Matt Rhule, the coaching staff, and everything else. Maybe not that right after, but, within a week.
Sometime within a week, yeah.
Our draft selection will be solidified. I mean, right now it's pretty solidified as we're either 6th or 5th. But, all that will be nice, and then we kind of can focus in because, honestly, the ending of this season has really, really bummed me out and kind of dragged me through the mud. It's really tested my Panther fandom. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm still watching all the games. I'm still cheering, even though in the back of my head, they should lose, I think, and secure a better draft spot. I mean, last week, Sylvia was yelling at me. She's like, I thought you wanted them to lose. I was like, yes, but I'm watching them and I want them to win at the same time.
Right. Yeah, that's tough. It's been a tough couple months, like you said. I mean, really, since we were 5-5 and things were, not looking bad. We were figuring 5-5. Well, we'll at least win 8-9 games, maybe. No. We haven't won any games.
We could just win a few more games. We'll be good,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what we said, around the halfway point. We were both thinking that, well, this is going to be a successful season for Matt Rhule. He's going to do better than he did in his first season. Things are on track, right? That's what we were thinking. Things are on track. And now the wheels have just completely fallen off for the season and maybe Matt Rhule's career, as the NFL head coach. At least, but like you said, the Panthers are at worst going to pick 6th. They can move up to 5th. I think that's as far as they can move up.
They can move further back, but it would take a lot. I was looking.
I don't think they can move. I think they're stuck in 6th. I mean, are some ties in play or something? Or
stuff like that. It's really weird, but I saw there's 2% and 1% chance they slip further out to 9 or so, but it was to a very minuscule percentage. It went 2-1 below 1%. So once that happens,
we'll just say that we're pretty much locked in at 6, regardless of what happens. I know a lot of that is based on strength of schedule and stuff. So maybe if a whole bunch of teams win that aren't supposed to, maybe something happens there. I don't know, but. It seems like we're pretty safe to say that we're going to be picking at least 6th. And then maybe, depending on what happens with the Giants, I think that's the only team we could pass to move up.
Go Big Blue this weekend.
Right. So everyone root for the Giants. But I was just telling you earlier this week that I'm kind of glad that the Panthers, it seems like, can't really move back from 6th. And I feel like I can root for them to win this week. Now, you were saying that, well, maybe for Matt Rhule's sake, we want to root for them to lose.
Yes.
Just to have that stink on him at the end of the season. And I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, there was fire Matt Rhule chants breaking out at the Charlotte Hornets game last night, Wednesday night. It's just this is developing all around Charlotte and all Panther fans. It's not just, diehards. Everybody is tired the way this team has played the last few weeks and few months of the season. I mean, the defense hasn't been great. The offense has been, honestly, one of the worst I've seen ever, including Jimmy Clausen. I mean, I'm talking about getting maybe 200 yards per game, getting 10 points. I mean, at what point do you just say, you're bad? And this is my biggest thing is Matt Rhule had personnel decisions. He was the one making the final says. That's what he wanted all along. So that's what he got. He's the one who didn't go out and get to the offensive line. Then why are you in a press conference? Well, it looks like we're going to have to focus on the offensive line. We knew that last year. Why did you not do it?
Why are you the one that didn't?
Why did you go out day one and get Cam Irving? I mean, that was your guy. That's who you signed off. We need to work on the offensive line and quarterback. You picked up Teddy Bridgewater. You signed off on Sam Darnold. These are your guys. If you didn't want to, you're the personnel guy. I am sure that Marty Hurney and Scott Fitterer didn't overrule him either year. Just saying.
I would imagine, yeah. I mean, it sounds like that was one of the conditions for him to take the job, was that he would have final say in those personnel decisions. Yeah, and he obviously made some mistakes this year with who he went out and got and who he didn't get, and what they did, with some of the guys they did get. Matt Rhule, it's interesting because when you look at the drafts, the 2 Matt Rhule drafts, I mean, there are some really good players, so I can't say that he does not have an eye for talent, because he has drafted some really good players and he's signed some really good players in free agency, but he's also made some very odd decisions. And the franchise overall has made some strange decisions, particularly at quarterback, since Matt Rhule has been here. And really has, and we talked about the Teddy Bridgewater signing last year and how that didn't really make much sense with what they were saying. And then this year going out and get Sam Darnold, even though they didn't mortgage their entire future for that, but they did give up significant amount of draft capital to bring him in. And they committed significant amount of money next year to him. So yeah, it's like on one hand, he deserves some kudos for some of the decisions he's made with people he's brought in. But when you're looking at those high profile positions like quarterback, offensive line, he's struck out. He has not made good decisions. And I'm just curious to see if he is retained and he does stick around next season, what changes there? Does he rely more on Fitterer? Does he learn from his mistakes? More importantly, because if he's a guy that can learn from his mistakes, then that's good. What we've seen in games,
he's not,
where he cannot adjust and he does not learn from mistakes, makes me fear that that's kind of what we're going to see if he sticks around, is more of the same next year.
I mean, a few weeks ago, the Panthers were the number 1 first quarter team. Yeah. I mean, just outscoring people.
Still might be, yeah.
Outscoring the opponents and not letting the opponent score. But then how are we sitting at this deep slide? I mean, it's because of the coaching. It's not because of the players. The players obviously can do what is needed to be done. They do it a quarter of the game. It's the rest of the game when the other coaches are adjusting that they're not adjusting. I don't think the players just stop playing at that point and say, hey, we got a lead.
Right.
So,
and a lot of that, a lot of the defensive issues, and I was talking to Jonathan Alexander, the Charlotte Observer guy, the other day, and he and I were kind of going back and forth a little bit about the defense, and he was making a point that a lot of the defensive failure is because of the offensive failure, which we've talked about on this podcast many times. Where the defense is just getting tired. They're out there for too long. The field position is poor. Now, they're not turning the ball over, certainly not like they were last year. And in years past, when the Panthers defense has been very successful, a lot of the time it's been because of turnovers. They're not generating a lot of turnovers this season, and that's a problem. Especially when the offense is generating a lot of turnovers. So I don't know, man. I just wonder if we get an offensive play caller in here that knows what they're doing and can make those adjustments, if that just turns everything around, and we get a couple of pieces on the offensive line, in the offseason, that just turns everything around.
But kind of going back to Joe Person's article, it's not just that. It's that he's not getting the NFL style. He's doing things that he thinks that he could do with the college players that aren't working. That is, it's making the NFL players disgruntled. That wasn't in this article, but that's kind of what the gist I got. I think it was a wrong move for him to go get college everything. He needed to bring in an NFL former head coach somewhere on the staff to help him out, to kind of guide him through this, because I think he's doing it the wrong way. I think that the college system, what he's trying to really do, it's not working.
Well, you and I talked about that when he was hired, when we saw that staff. That was, I know me for sure, and I'm pretty sure you were the same way, is we looked at that staff and we said, there's not a lot of NFL experience here. And that is concerning.
Yeah.
And, there were two ways to look at it. One way was, well, these guys are all, fresh ideas and they're geniuses at what they do in college. And they got a proven track record there and they can adapt to the NFL. Well, we haven't seen that yet. But it kind of goes back to my point, is if Matt Rhule can learn from his mistakes, which again, were pretty detailed in that Joe Person article. Yeah. If he can learn from those mistakes, if we see him drop PJ and we see him, drop a couple of these other Temple or Baylor guys that just wouldn't make any other rosters. If we see him move on from them in this offseason, but I'm very, very interested to see where they go with OC, because if he just says, well, you know what, I'm comfortable with Jeff Nixon, I want to keep him around, then we're not going to see any progress next year. No, it's just going to be more of the same.
Also, what is up with the offensive line? Is that I don't know the offensive line coach, but he should be on fire too, because there's nothing. And then we've been crazily asking for Brady Christensen to play left tackle because everybody else has sucked. We might as well see the rookie out there. And when the rookie goes out there, he does well. And then they're like, well, fine. And now the coaches are like, we knew it was going to happen. Why did Cam Irving going on IR force this happen? If you knew this was going to happen, get your head out of the ass and put him out there. This is stupid.
Yeah. So, we'll see. Again, if he is retained, then I expect a lot of staff changes. I think Chase Blackburn would be gone. I think offensive line coach, like you said, will be gone. Who knows? Running back coach might be gone. There could be a lot of turnover on the staff.
A lot of PSL owners may be gone. That's PSL the way I'm getting. I'm not buying any merchandise.
Realistically, the training staff, the health staff, I think there should be some major turnover there.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of getting these guys prepared for games. So anyway, yes, we're here to talk about Panthers at Bucs, but this is the last game of the season and there is going to be a lot of turnover. And by the time we talk to you guys next, there could be an announcement about Matt Rhule being fired. It could happen right after the game if it's going to happen. So it usually happens between Sunday and Monday. So that's what we'll see. But there is a little bit of news here. So,
I kind of wanted to put this in there. It's really not news, but Phil Snow came out and said that Jeremy Chin may return to linebacker next year, depending on offseason moves in the draft. Yeah. Thank you. Now, he's played good at safety. I don't want to discredit him. He's played well at safety and coverage. That being said, I felt like he was a difference maker when he played that linebacking joker type of role that he did last year. I feel like this team missed that. I think Jermaine Carter did not play well at middle linebacker, and I think sliding Jeremy Chin down kind of helps with that run defense, kind of helps seal the edge a little bit because he is so fast and such a sure tackler. So I was just very excited to see that and hope it happens.
Yeah, Nick Carboni from NBC tweeted out just a few hours ago Jeremy Chin's stats from 2020 to 2021. So 2020, where he primarily played linebacker, 117 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, interception, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 5 QB hits. All right, and he also had those 2 touchdowns. And then 2021, 107 tackles, so 10 less. 1 less forced fumble, 1 less fumble recovery, still 1 sack, 6 tackles for loss compared to 2, and then 5 quarterback hits as well. So the stats are very similar. But it felt like he wasn't as impactful. just watching the games, you didn't feel, except for a few standout moments here and there, but you didn't feel like he was, as impactful this season.
I kind of would be a great stat, but I'm not going to go and do that. So some stat guy wants to come out there. I want to see the average distance of the tackle from the down, the line of scrimmage. Thank you. Like, my brain's just skipped. So because I felt like last year he was tackling guys within the 2 to 3 yard range all the time, and this year I feel like him playing safety, they're getting to 8, 9, even deeper. So I'd love to see the average of where he's tackling them, because I think that kind of plays into what I'm saying, that I feel like he's more impactful on linebacker.
Yeah, I would like to see that too, and I don't have those stats in front of me, unfortunately, but that would be something interesting to go take a look at. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting that the stats were so similar. I mean, after Sunday's game, the stats will probably be almost identical in terms of total tackles. So it's interesting, but I thought that they moved him to safety kind of out of need, just because that safety position was really thin. And theoretically, the linebacker position was one of the strong points coming into the season, especially with Perryman. And then they just made some personnel changes. Some guys got hurt.
Some guys didn't perform.
Jermaine Carter didn't perform like we hoped he would. And that middle of the field sort of fell apart. And that's where we saw the gashing run plays and a lot of passes over the middle and things like that. So, I would be interested to see if he moves back to linebacker and what they do with the safety position at that point.
You can find some decent safeties in free agency, fairly inexpensive. I mean,
almost every year. Yeah.
Yeah.
We always talk about how weird it is that safeties don't seem to be signed until almost middle of the season. Sometimes you get good safeties still out there. It's very strange.
Starting caliber safeties. I mean, not elite, but
Trey Boston's still out there. And I know he didn't have the greatest season his last season here, but he certainly should have been on a team, I thought.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he's done now. I think he's just doing his commentating and stuff like that. He's a great Twitter follow, too, if you haven't followed him on Twitter.
He is, yep.
But
shout out to Trey if you're listening.
All that being said, though, I mean, you can find a safety. I think you can find a safety in the 3rd round. Well, I mean, this year we desperately need that pick because that's our 2nd pick. Oh, no, we don't even have a 3rd round.
We don't even have a 3rd round pick. We got to turn this 6th pick into, a bunch of picks, unfortunately. So that's the thing that sucks, man, is like, and things could happen. They could trade up. They could trade next year's picks. I mean, they could do that every year if they wanted to, but we'll have our draft preview show here in a few weeks, or at least we'll kind of start talking about it. But there's a lot of scenarios on the board.
We're gonna have to do a lot of draft profiles because I have a feel, because I know I'm thinking depends on where we pick it, how it looks like it's gonna shape. Drop him back, maybe Matt Corral, Ole Miss quarterback who was projected early, could fall because of his knee injury. You sit him for a year. You let Sam Darnold go out there and suck because Sam Darnold sucks, and then you let him start the year after that.
Yeah, or you don't even go after a quarterback and you just try to fill some of these other holes.
Yeah, and just gain.
Yeah, or you see if you can steal a Gardner Minshew or something like that. David Carr or Derek Carr. Some of the a better than average quarterback. That's probably not going to be too expensive. So who knows? There are options out there, but. All right, so let's talk about some of the injuries here. Terrace Marshall and Cam Erving were both placed on IR. 2 guys that haven't really made much of a positive impact on the team this year, so I don't think that's going to hurt us.
Another issue is drafting Terrace Marshall in the 2nd round, running him so much in the preseason, and then nothing seemed to be played for him.
I'd love to see. Well, I'd love to know why.
Yeah.
Like what was the game plan there with Terrace Marshall? Because he looked really good in the preseason. He was, in fact, in the preseason, a lot of people were talking about, this guy should have gone in the 1st round. He was, better than
he looks like he looked like the best wide receiver out of the class, people were saying. I mean, Jamar Chase obviously
Jamar Chase is just
astronomical.
Ridiculous, but
yeah.
6th pick, by the way. Jamar Chase. So last 2 6 picks, Justin Herbert and Jamar Chase. Maybe sticking at 6 is not that bad of a thing.
No.
We got Stephon Gilmore, Shi Smith, and Yetur Gross-Matos were placed on the COVID reserve list today. They will most likely miss the game Sunday. I guess it's possible they could test out, but Hassan Reddick was removed from the COVID list, so we will have him back for the final game of the season. Looking at the injury reports here, Robbie Anderson did not practice with a quad injury. Sean Chandler, DNP with a groin. You've got CJ Henderson and Derek Brown, both limited practice with a knee and an elbow, respectively. Looking at Tampa Bay, Shaq Barrett did not practice with a knee. Mike Edwards, full practice. Jalen Darden, full practice. Mike Evans, full practice. Ryan Jensen, limited practice. Ronald Jones did not practice. Sean Murphy Bunting, full practice. Jason Pierre-Paul did not practice. Rashad Robinson did not practice. Richard Sherman, limited practice. Justin Watson did not practice. Everyone else, full practice. So they've got a lot of people on the report. Shaq Barrett. I'm going to assume some of these guys at DMPs are going to be held out just for precaution. It's the last game of the season.
They don't get a bye. Green Bay wrapped up the first seed in the NFC, so they don't get a bye. I mean, they could drop a little bit, but I mean, they already won the NFC South, so they've got that.
They won the NFC South. The only thing really at stake for them is maybe one home playoff game. So obviously they're going to play the wild card game will be at home. Mm-hmm. And if they're the 2 seed, then they'll play that next round at home as well. And then the NFC Championship, if it's against Green Bay, they'd go to Green Bay. Anybody else, they'd play at home if they stayed at 2. So, there's some home field stuff at play for them. But, they cannot wrap up the bye. So, Bruce Arians did say that all the starters would play, as long as they're healthy. So,
but how long?
To see them out there.
I mean,
it sounds like they're going to treat it like a normal game, but, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting at number 3 seed. They would have to get the Rams to lose to the 49ers. Seed, right? No, they're the number 3 seed. No, according to the NFL playoff picture, they're number 3 seed right now.
Oh, I thought they were the 2. Okay.
So, I could see them wanting that's why they pushed our game back. Because the Rams and 49ers that are playing at 4, they don't want the Buccaneers to lose, and then the Rams would just bench everybody. Yeah. It's the NFL, which it sucks for us because this season just lasts about 3 or 4 hours longer than it needed to be for Panther fans.
True. We would normally be getting ready for round 1 of the playoffs. So, to watch it, obviously not to be in it. But
we have been in a while. Thanks, David Tepper.
Yeah. The Panthers are 8-point underdogs in this game. Over-under is 41.5. I bet that's the lowest over-under for the Bucs all year. The Panthers did open the game 10-point underdogs, so there's been quite a bit of money coming in on the Panthers to move that line, which is interesting. I'm thinking maybe some of the people are thinking that, like you said, Tampa's starters may not play the whole game, and who knows.
And it's funny is I think Tampa Bay in the past 6 to 7 games are averaging close to 30 something points a game, 31, 32. I mean, just on average for the season, they're averaging 29.4. But in the past few games, they've been really lighting it up. If you take out that one New Orleans game where they scored none, I mean, they're probably averaging 35, 36. So.
Yeah, and I would imagine Tom Brady will want to put up some big numbers in this game to boost his MVP potential. I mean, this could be one of those 5 touchdown games for him. Antonio Brown not going to play and not on the team anymore. He was released today by the Bucs. So sounds like he's going to have ankle surgery, but that's such a weird situation.
Oh yeah.
Did you hear his career's over?
Oh yeah. Did you also see about the OnlyFans model that he was trying to pay hush money for? that tested COVID the day after. Supposedly they were together, and the day before the game. Yeah. It's a whole thing. It's another
Sounds
whole
like
thing.
a whole thing. Yeah.
If you're interested,
Sounds like
you can
just something
Google
else
it.
to add to the Antonio Brown
Saga.
ethos. Yeah.
I mean, why would any team want to touch Antonio Brown? Everywhere he goes after Pittsburgh it's a dumpster fire. It's like burning the village as he leaves every time.
He's so talented. I mean, you figure somebody's probably going to take a chance on him.
I wouldn't.
It always happens.
No. If Tom Brady and Bruce Arians can't do it, no.
Well, just be prepared, Jerry, because when you're interviewing with Tepper for that head coach job in a couple weeks, you might be asked about how you handle situations like that. I was reading an article today on ESPN where they go through a lot of the questions that are asked of coaches in the head coaching interviews. And some of them are your typical, what would you do in this situation, time management stuff. But some of them are, how do you handle disgruntled star player, right? A player that's holding out in training camp, things like that. So I wonder how Matt Rhule answered some of those questions. I would love to be a fly on the wall to have seen what blew David Tepper away so much about Matt Rhule.
I don't know. I have no clue.
He obviously killed the interview. I mean, Tepper flew down to his house, and Tepper badly wanted him.
To be fair, when he first spoke here, I think we all were kind of like, "Whoa, this guy!" Because I remember I felt like, "Hey, this guy's I feel like I could run through a wall for this guy, even the first preseason." But it just has gone so downhill, and all his interviews even now look like
so depressed.
He looks like a dad that's getting divorced, lost full custody. He's been drinking a lot. He's
letting himself go.
Yeah. His wife took the kids and, half his paycheck, all his life savings, and the boat.
And the boat, yeah. The boat really hurt his feelings.
It just looks like he's just down in the dumps. I feel like we have a more sunnier disposition than he does.
Yeah, and watch us after some games sometimes. You watch Matt Rhule and then watch us if you want a pep talk. You want to feel a little better about your life. And that's saying something, because we are not happy after most of these games.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So instead of doing matchups, I was stuck on the side of the road. My wife's car died today when I was taking it to the shop, so I didn't get to all the matchups. I decided to just kind of throw up what the Tampa Bay Bucs did to us a couple weeks ago. Yeah. It's they ran the ball down our throats. 5 yards per carry. 31 rushes, 159. I am shocked that, they threw the ball 31 times. I didn't even realize they threw it that many times. They still didn't gain a lot with us. So I think that's... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, only, Brady threw for 232, which, is quite a bit higher than what the Panthers were giving up at that time through the air. But they, we said it after the game. It didn't seem like the Bucs had a dominating game or anything, but they dominated the Panthers, on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And that's, at the end of the day, all that matters.
The Panthers couldn't score, and the Bucs were able to, and then they just started draining the clock. That's what it was.
Yeah. They had some big plays. The Bucs did. That Keyshawn Vaughn had a big run at one point. They just made the big plays, and that was kind of the difference, because we had no big plays to make. Our biggest play was a Cam Newton run, and Cam didn't even play the second half. So
I wonder if it'll be different with Sam Darnold starting, if they try to do something else. I just don't see it. I think this.
What's going to change now on week 18?
Yeah.
I don't see. I could see the Panthers winning this game because the Bucs are in playoff mode at this point, and they're looking to next week. They don't care about this game really.
Would it be nice to win and maybe get possibly the second seed? Yes.
Yeah,
But
sure.
do
They want to
do
win, but
but do you
they don't
think
have
it's
to
gonna?
win.
I mean, they could win and still get third seed and still play
Hmm.
Green Bay next week.
Right.
So at that point, is it better to rest Rob Gronkowski, save Tom Brady from getting injured? Let Chris Godwin in there, all those guys. No, Chris Godwin's out.
I
Never
mean,
mind.
Chris Godwin's out anyway, yeah. But
Mike
it's gonna be a
Evans.
lot of Le'Veon Bell in this game. Like
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell, Blaine Gabbert. I would not be surprised at all if Blaine Gabbert comes out in the second half and plays the whole second half. With the backups. I mean, I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen in this game, and that gives the Panthers a chance to win. And I really don't want to win that way. That wouldn't make me feel any better.
Yeah.
Certainly Matt Rhule would come out, real proud of our guys today, battled through adversity,
Building culture.
the season, with a win. And that's really important going into this off season and blah, 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 blah. Him being happy after this game would just make me really sad. So like as much as that sounds like, but yeah, I mean, the matchups in this game are they're kind of the same. This is a team we played 2 weeks ago. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the same type of deal. You want to stop the run. You want to clamp down on, I mean, who's their best receiver now? Mike Evans, if he plays. And then Gronk. Those are the two guys you got to stop. Then they've got Tyler Johnson. They've got
Scotty Miller.
And then there was another, Sharp Harriman is there, made a big play last week. So, they've still got some weapons. I think the key is getting in Brady's face. It always seems like if you get Brady to the ground a few times early in the game, he has problems.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a problem for the Panthers this year, getting to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Especially over the last 6 weeks.
I was going to say the first half of the season, it was completely different. But yeah, lately, really, if Derek Brown could get pressure up the middle, I think that's where you get Brady. Yeah. I think the edge rushers don't bother him as much, but that pressure up the middle really does give him
Get in his face.
Bother Tom Brady as much as you could bother Tom Brady. I mean, we are talking about Tom Brady, the greatest of all time quarterback.
He gets the ball out as quick as anybody, as accurately as anybody. And he just, he's got it down to a science. It's going to be really hard to beat him if he plays the whole game. The whole team had just a terrible week last week, and they still ended up pulling it out at the very end against the Jets. So, anything's possible, I guess. But I don't know. You ask yourself as a Panthers fan, what do you want from this game? What do you want to see? Because I just want to see the zeros at the end of the game. I'm done with this season. I want the time to say 0-0-0. And then we start thinking about more fun things like the draft and the off season and potential coaching searches and all that stuff. I really don't have anything in this game I want to see from the Panthers that will excite me.
Now, yeah, me neither. I mean, I wanted to see Tommy Trimble, Terrace Marshall, Shi Smith. I want to see some of the younger guys, the rookies, kind of come out and shine. But half of them are on IR or on COVID reserve.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Trimble
at this
being
point,
out there, I'd like to see them do some cool stuff with Trimble.
He's on IR.
Kittle type stuff. Is he?
He's on IR.
Trimble?
Yeah, last week he went on IR.
Okay. Well, see, I'm just not paying much attention anymore, honestly.
I mean, so I want to see Shi Smith. I want to see Brady Christensen play left tackle.
Smith is on COVID reserve, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Never mind.
Yeah, we just talked about him.
I want to see David Tepper walk down at halftime, drop the brass balls he always talks about from his office on the sideline, flips off Matt Rhule, and tells him he's fired and points to the end zone.
I thought you wanted to see him drop the brass balls on Matt Rhule.
Yes, that too.
Yeah. Make Matt Rhule. Never mind. But yeah, that would be interesting. That'd be entertaining. I'd like to.
That's
see
my
that.
bold prediction. Not at halftime. Towards the end of the game, though.
Oh man. All right. I mean, I don't think there's really anything else to talk about matchup wise here. All right.
No.
So, beer bet of the week. Probably don't have one. How about this? Does Matt Rhule get fired Monday? After the game,
Next week.
Yeah.
Next
Does
week?
Matt Rhule
Okay.
get fired next week? Yes or no?
Oh, I'm gonna say yes, even that because I think you want to go no, even though I think it's gonna be a
I
no,
don't
and I'm
want to
gonna
go
cry.
no. I don't want to
I
go no. I want to
you,
say yes.
Black
But
Monday when all the coaches get fired, I have a feeling I'm gonna be crying because Matt Rhule did not get fired.
did not get fired. Yeah. Okay. So are you saying yes or no?
I'll say
For the
yes.
final beer of the season.
I'll say yes.
Say
Just
what you
because
want to happen, Jerry. Say what you want to happen.
I said yes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
That's what I'm
doing.
saying. Yeah. Don't say it resigned like you're making me say yes. That's what you want to happen.
I do want
I
that to
also
happen.
want it to happen, but I will say no because I don't think he will get fired.
I don't either. I think everything coming out. I think David Tepper cares about his money a little bit too much, and he wants to. And he has the buffer of saying that I always said I would give him 3 years. I mean,
Yeah. He signed him for 7 years. So, and everything in Matt Rhule's past has pointed to that third season. When we talked about Matt Rhule when he first got here, we looked at the third season. Matt Rhule came in and dismantled the team when he came in. He took all the veterans and pushed them out the door. Went all defensive draft that first season, and the first pick this season was a defensive player. He has not put a ton of resources into the offense, except for at quarterback. So I would like to see if he does stick around, put some of those resources into the offense. The defense seems to be in pretty good shape, in terms of the young players.
I feel like he's done some.
Not in comparison to the defense.
Okay,
he's put way more assets into the defense.
Yes, he paid way more, but I mean, he drafted 2 receivers, 1 tight end. He drafted 2 offensive linemen this year. He went out and signed a tackle and a guard first day of free agency. I mean, yes, he re-signed Robbie Anderson.
Okay, he did. Yes, he did those things, but one of the receivers was a 6th-round pick. One of the offensive line was a 5th-round pick. The 2 offensive linemen he signed were kind of bottom of the barrel, cheap signings. Like he didn't spend any money on those guys.
He spent a decent amount of money. I mean, those
like $3 million a year on him. That's nothing for an offensive line. That's
Pat Elflein. No, hold on 1 second. Let's find their contracts
like
because
$6 million for 2 years or something. It wasn't a lot of money. 6 or 8. I mean, it's not a lot of money in comparison to some of these other guys for starting offensive linemen. He went bargain basement shopping. Jerry is looking up the salaries right now. I'm vamping here.
Pat Elflein is getting $6 million a year. He got a 3-year, 13 million, 13.5 million.
Okay, that is not $6 million per year.
So $4.5 million.
Right.
So $4.5 million. That's
with
a lot.
An out, I believe, after
he has a $6 million guarantee.
Yeah. So right. So $6 million guaranteed, right? For 3 years.
And you have Cam Irving, 2-year, 10 million, 5 million, 8 million guaranteed. So
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, they could get rid of Pat Elflein. So Pat Elflein's essentially was a 2-year, $8 million deal, basically, because they can get rid of him with less than $500,000 dead cap after next season. All right.
But
so
I'm just saying I'm just saying he did spend money and he went out. But he went out and tried to do stuff, and he thought that he could buy these bargain basement guys and make them into something, and he didn't.
I don't know why he went out and got those guys. I mean, we've talked about that. I don't understand what he saw in Pat Elflein or Cam Irving other than versatility, which he harped on over and over and over again. These guys play all kinds of positions, and that's valuable. Well, what has Cam Irving played this year other than left tackle? He's played anything other than left tackle. Pat Elflein did have to come in and play center, right? I mean, Pat Elflein has played multiple positions on the line, so I don't know what we would be doing without him at center. Honestly, he's not good at center, but he's probably better than Tecklenburg, who was terrible a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he was terrible.
So yeah, I mean, I just think in terms of draft position, in terms of money, he has not They have not gone in on the offense the way they have on the defense. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's
yes,
not even close.
they have gone in a lot more on defense. But that being
they've had
said,
to sign some offensive players, as you know, they have to do that. They have to fill out both sides of the field.
But
they haven't spent a lot. Go ahead.
But in years past, this Panthers organization has not spent a lot of money on offensive line and stuff like that, and it's always been better. This is the worst offensive line I have ever seen.
Yeah,
this is the worst offense that I remember, and I'm trying to remember the Jimmy Clausen era because it was bad. Was it this bad? I don't know.
I don't know. I blocked out most of that season.
And that year, David Geddes was starting, so there's a difference.
Yeah.
In talent too.
A huge difference in talent. I think the whole team.
Yeah.
The defense as well. I mean, you can't really even compare. I think Jimmy Clausen, if he started on this team, I don't know. The offensive line is just so bad. I don't think anybody would be good on this team. So I don't know. I don't know how we got onto this topic, but
it's just back. I already mentioned my bold prediction
that David Tepper's going to drop brass balls on Matt Rhule's face and wiggle him around. Okay.
And tell him he's fired and point to the end zone sometime in the fourth quarter of the game.
My bold prediction is that Sam Darnold has his best game of the season and throws 3 touchdowns, close to 300 yards, and the Panthers win this game. That's going to be my bold prediction.
All right. What is your game prediction then? You've already called that the Panthers will win.
Yeah, I think the Panthers win this game, not because they're better than the Bucs. Obviously they're not, but because the Bucs end up sitting most of their players in the second half, and the Panthers just have probably their best offensive game of the year. I think the Panthers win this one. I'll say 30-24. Panthers.
I am going 28-13. Bucs.
Okay.
I thought I was sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's probably more likely what will happen. It's called a bold prediction, Jerry. Okay.
No, that was just our game predictions, but you threw your bold.
Yeah, I know, but I messed up and said they were going to win in my bold prediction, so I had to stand by that. All right, other NFC South games: Atlanta at Buffalo.
Nope, that was last week.
That was last week.
I did not update. I think it's just Atlanta and New Orleans.
Atlanta and New Orleans. Yeah. New Orleans has to win, and San Francisco has to lose for New Orleans to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Philly's already in.
Yeah, they are 8th right now, sitting at 8-8. So, yeah, I mean that's gonna be tough.
That's the only thing that can happen is they win and San Francisco loses. Then I believe
Philly loses.
New Orleans would. No, Philly is in.
Oh,
Philly is in. So, yeah, it's really weird because San Francisco is technically ahead of Philly, but they're not officially in. But Philly is officially in.
Oh, I wonder if it's a tiebreaker that
it's some kind of weird tiebreaker, yeah. Yep.
All right, so there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet the Eagles have the tiebreaker because they beat the Saints.
The Eagles, yeah, and San Francisco beat the Eagles. So, yeah, it's really strange. Yeah. But that, and then in the AFC, there's Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Indianapolis are all kind of fighting over those last 2 spots. So that's going to be more fun than this NFC race because a lot of weird things could happen. I was seeing that if the Colts lose, then Los Angeles and Las Vegas could kneel out the whole game and end in a 0-0 tie, and both of them would make the playoffs, and the Colts would not. Not that would ever happen, but that would be pretty interesting.
I mean, I would find it hilarious if they kind of did a handshake deal, and they would just be like, run up the middle, 3.
You guys want to screw over the Colts?
I mean, if we're both getting in, we'll meet you in the playoffs, guys.
Hey, I mean,
let's not get injured either team.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
And then Roger Goodell would call and throw a temper tantrum.
All right. Well, that is gonna do it, I think.
Yeah, we want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on the show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube.
We'll be back on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, I guess. This is a 4:25 game again, to discuss this game and kind of give a little, I guess, recap on the season. But I think maybe sometime next week we'll do a bigger.
Yeah, we'll do a recap later on.
Yeah, we'll do awards and do all that fun stuff. So awards and punishments.
Ooh,
some of these players and staff deserve some punishment. So
dropping brass balls on their head.
There you go. Until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.